Quick thought with the market here. Market bottoms, you cannot guess when the market bottom is going to happen. It is so incredibly hard and even impossible. Let's look at why. Let's look at a historical graph of the S&P 500. So when you think about what's happening now, this is a big deal. I mean, we have a pandemic going on. We have uncertainty around how deadly is it? When are we going to find reliable cures? When are we going to find a vaccine? When is that vaccine even going to be approved? Can that happen before next fall, or is this 18 months out? So there's a lot of uncertainty. And if history is any indicator, markets rebound in a market crash well before the uncertainty is solved. Let's take a look at this. So 2000, right here, we have the dot-com bubble. The dot-com bubble bursts. And so the market from 2000 to 2002, it loses about 40%. Now this is a big deal. This is a really quick insight here. This is huge. When we talk about stock market crashes, I'm referring to a globally diversified portfolio of low-cost stock funds that have exposure to thousands of publicly traded companies. I am not talking about one company. I am not talking about your employer's company that you have a stock plan in. So that is just critically important to distinguish here. And the 2000 dot-com crash is a perfect time to distinguish it because you lost 40% if you had exposure across the S&P 500. If you had exposure in 10 different dot-com stocks, it's possible that you did not lose 40%, that you lost 90%. Your potential loss in any one individual stock is 100%. Companies will not last forever. Your potential loss in any specific company is 100%. Now, your potential loss in an entire industry is also really high. And so we see that with oil and gas. Oil and gas is in a very difficult position right now. And if you had your assets in an oil and gas ETF or mutual fund, it's struggling mightily. But when we have our assets in an entire asset class, so moving from an individual company, then going to an entire industry, both of those very risky, then moving to an entire asset class, meaning the whole stock market. So you add in the U.S. stock, S&P 500, large cap. Also think through small caps. They're getting crushed right now, a lot cheaper than they were a month ago. Also think through emerging markets, international developed markets. And so when you have exposure everywhere, history tells us we're going to have market crashes, and 40 to 50% downturns is not out of play. Now, market bottoms. Why is it so hard to guess the market bottom? So the dot-com crash, 2000 hits, your portfolio drops. If you were well diversified, you still lost significant money. Interestingly enough, small caps had some good years in here. Emerging markets were unbelievable from 2000 to 2009, so it is important to have exposure there. But in 2001, when 9/11 happened, the markets took a significant hit after 9/11. Now, the recovery time after 9/11, things were not resolved. Things did not feel comfortable after 9/11 before the markets came back. So there's this temptation to say, I want to pull my money out. I want to go to cash. When things are settled, when the market is calmed down, we're going to be able to move back into the market when things are calm, and then we'll see the market go back up. That's not how it works. The market recovers oftentimes well before you will ever feel comfortable. So it does not work. Think about 2001. After 9/11 happened, for a long time, there was fear everywhere. Fear about getting on an airplane. There was fear about going to sporting events. I remember 2001, my dad, my brother, and I, we went to the OU Kansas State football game. OU was ranked number 2. K-State was ranked number 8. College game day was there. It was the ABC game of the week. We ended up losing by 1, unfortunately. OU beat us. But I remember sitting in that stadium, watching college game day, watching the game. And in the back of my mind, I was wondering, are we safe? And that mentality lasted for a long time after 9/11. And so if you were waiting for everything to feel comfortable, if you were waiting for the war on terror to get solved, well, you missed the rebound. Things were not feeling perfect. We were in the middle of a huge market crash. massive terrorist event, starting a war, and a war that we had never seen before. So things did not feel comfortable when the market rebounded in this crash. 2008. This is probably a much better example. 2008, 2009 is an absurd example of how you cannot find the bottom. And you will not feel comfortable, most likely, whenever the bottom does happen and when stocks do start recovering. So take a look right there. 2009, March, yeah, so this month in 2009. So we see the market hit a bottom. And in 2009, we saw a 41% increase in a matter of months. So we saw a 41% increase. That's 4 or 5 years worth of typical returns in the market that we saw just in a few months. And that happened at a time when people were not comfortable. No one was feeling good. You were not thinking everything's solved, things are calm. It's time to go back in and let's see the market rise. That was not reality. 2009, things were scary in the market. The economy did not look substantially safer than it did a few months prior. And so again, we see the market having a substantial recovery before things feel perfect. What's the point with coronavirus? What are we getting at here? Whenever the market bottom happens, it's likely, if history is any indicator, that we're going to see a really sharp trajectory up. And you want to be a part of that with long-term assets within your financial plan that are dedicated towards that. And so do not try to guess the bottom. If you're waiting for a vaccine to come out and that vaccine to get FDA approval and that vaccine to be able to be used on the entire population and see that it works and see that it goes through an entire flu season, an entire coronavirus season successfully, it's really possible that you will have long missed the recovery. If you're waiting for a treatment to come out, so we've got some news today about a potential malaria treatment being really effective. If you're waiting for FDA approval and then for us to use it on people, and then for someone you know to catch coronavirus, use this, use the drugs that can solve it, and waiting for them to recover, and then waiting to see this happen all across the country, it's possible that the market could recover much quicker than that. So my point being, the market bottom often happens before you're comfortable. And so this idea of move to cash, wait for everything to calm down. Well, the market typically recovers well before things are calm. And so something to think through. Similar as always, build your plan. Understand how much you need to have in an emergency fund, shorter term assets. How much do you need to have in a war chest to provide for income needs and expenses over the next 3, 5, 7 years? And then how much of your portfolio can be geared towards a long-term plan that can take advantage of lower market prices.